Right. As you can see, I'm walking into the shot with my remote control up there on my table. As I sit down on this comfortable couch and start talking to all you good people on my channel. Don't be distracted by my Barney Rubble feet. That's from years and years of martial art training. How you guys doing, by the way? I'm glad to be here on the 2020 edition of Hero Productions to talk about Juneteenth. It's been very interesting, actually, this year. A lot of stuff has happened. Coronavirus, we right in the middle of an anti-black race war. More black people have been killed by these cops. And of course, for me personally, it's a bit of a milestone because I've relocated here to Houston, Texas. And since I've been down here, I knew that Galveston was not more than maybe about an hour away. So I drove out to Galveston, Texas to actually see where Juneteenth all started. For those of you who are actually not native Californians, you don't really understand that Juneteenth is something that's really celebrated among us as black folks in the community. I remember going to places like Leimert Park, which is actually on Crenshaw Boulevard, and you will see just a couple of people celebrating it. You might have a couple of vendors that might be out there, and you'll have some barbecue, and that'd be really about it. But during the last couple of years, it's actually gotten bigger and bigger. I know last year there was actually a big event that took place, and then what I saw on social media, there was actually a big event that was in Leimert Park where people were dancing, and it was a big festival, and it was also vendors, and there was a lot of stuff that's been happening, So, but here in Texas, of course, it's a state recognized holiday, and businesses actually shut down during Juneteenth. So that's something that's very new for me. I actually had a chance to go out to Galveston, Texas, to the island of Galveston, Texas, and I went over to the actual house where it started, and it was a bit of a culture shock. Part of it was good because, once again, just in terms of history, I had the opportunity to actually see where Juneteenth began and meet some people that were from Galveston and other folks from Texas. And I actually got a chance to build and network with some people out here in Houston. But I would have to say that part of me was actually very disappointed when I went there, and particularly pointed with the NAACP, because of all the talk that transpired at the event I went to over in Galveston, Texas, I didn't hear any conversation about reparations. I heard no conversations about tangibles, no conversations about police violence. It was the same old song and dance about equality, underrepresented people, minorities, and all this other stuff, blah, 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 blah. We are right now in one of the biggest movements for justice since the civil rights movement, and our demands don't have anything to do with anyone except for those who are black folks, particularly descendants of American slaves. The conversation needs to deal with that and deal with us and us only, and we've been unapologetic about that. That's where this movement is going, and that's what this movement should ultimately talk about. Doesn't mean that we necessarily have any kind of beef or animosity towards anyone else. Doesn't mean that other people don't have concerns that they should deal with. But those concerns are not our concerns. Our concerns primarily deal with reparations and a $16 trillion debt that is owed to all of us as descendants of American slaves, okay? So that was part of the disappointing thing I saw when I actually went to this reparations gathering over in Galveston. was the fact that the Galveston chapter of the NAACP, no one spoke about that. And then you had some white man that was up there. We're going to put some footage of this later on. He got up there and stood up and he talked about Abraham Lincoln and the abolitionists. We should be thankful for their move for us to be free. And I emphatically got up and said there, sir, no, sir, you are in fact are wrong. Abe Lincoln and the abolitionists did not set us free. We set ourselves free. The reason why the Civil War, in fact, ended and the North won is because of the effort of the black men who fought in the Civil War. The tide of the war didn't change until we actually started putting the fists to the mouths and the boots to the asses of the Confederates. That's the bottom line. So we deserve all the recognition. Our ancestors deserve all the recognition for the fact that we're free. Not Abe Lincoln, and definitely not abolitionists like William Lloyd Garrison or Susan B. Anthony, who was a white supremacist, by the way, because when she didn't get what she wanted, she went ahead and started working with the very same people that the abolitionists were fighting. This is covered in Harriet Tubman's, in her biography, General Harriet Tubman. But anyway, I don't want to get off topic. I just thought that it was a very disappointing event, to say the least. So, because there was no talk about reparations, there was no talk about tangibles, only talking about voting, and I was heckling the whole time I was there. I made it very clear that no tangibles, no vote. We need tangibles. We don't need symbolism. We don't need more talk about jobs. We don't need more talk about equality, more talk about you recognizing us. We need tangibles so we can build some things for ourselves. That's what descendants of American slaves, that's what we want, that's what we need. So, I mean, Juneteenth, and I'm saying this not disrespectfully, but Juneteenth, I'm glad to see that more and more people, black people particularly, are knowing more about this holiday. If you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I actually have videos that I've made regarding Juneteenth. I've been doing this for years, talking about Juneteenth, why it's important, the relevance of it, how it started. And I guess my father used to tell me, he would say that the universe has a way of correcting itself. And I guess here we are in 2020, and the universe is doing exactly that. It's correcting itself. But it hasn't corrected itself entirely. Because although I'm glad that we have a holiday that recognizes when we were free as slaves, we still have unfinished business with this government. We still have unfinished business in terms of destroying white supremacy, because we were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. And of course, that never came into fruition because of the Tillman versus Hayes election of 1876 and the compromise of 1876 in that election, which became known among us as the Great Betrayal, where the Republican Party basically, which was the party of Lincoln, basically made a deal with the Democrats that they would actually keep the election on the contingency that they would withdraw all federal troops and end Reconstruction and return all land back to the slave owners, which is what inevitably happened. So Republicans won the election on the condition that they remove all federal troops. And that's the reason why none of us got our 40 acres and a mule. Like my brother Spike Lee, his company is named after. So, but anyway, that's why we don't have our 40 acres and a mule. So, but we have unfinished business. And I think that if we want to fully honor our ancestors, not only those people who fought in the Civil War so we can be free, but our ancestors that got us to the point that we are today, that got us right here who we are today. We have to settle this business dealing with reparations. And I think that should be the primary goal. I know right now, I mean, it's Friday and I'm sitting in the house. I actually spent my day doing some work. I went out to Galveston and I came back, took a nap, woke up, did some studying for the cybersecurity course I'm working on right now. But then I actually have some reading I have to do. And I'm spending this time just trying to build myself and make myself more powerful. So I think that the best way that we can commemorate our ancestors is exactly do that, because we as black folks, we still are under the gun. I mean, there's not really a time for us to party. Not saying that there's anything wrong partying today. If there's any time to party, I would rather us party today than the 4th of July. But nonetheless, there's still a lot of progression that needs to be carved out for all of us. Most of us are still under the gun, and the only people that are going to get us out of this situation that we're in is us. That's the biggest lesson that can be learned from this holiday in terms of Juneteenth. Is the fact that we as black people, when we stand up and we decide to fight, we actually usually win. When we don't fight, then we don't win. And I think these people in this country understand that. That's part of the reason why they've always been so afraid of us getting any kind of power. But power is not something that's given to you. Power is something that you have to actually ultimately take. And I'm taking my power, taking my time to make myself more powerful, to actually develop myself some tools and some skills in order for me to become more economically powerful. That's how I celebrate Juneteenth and how I actually use this day to commemorate my ancestors and for us to be free. So that's what I did. But this is definitely going to be a Juneteenth that will go down in history, 2020, a new decade. And I started off and I said that Juneteenth should not be something that we should celebrate just on one day, the spirit of it. But for us as black people, those of us who are descendants of American slaves, we should celebrate the spirit of it every day of our lives when we wake up. Okay, black empowerment is not something you just do one day out the year. It's something you practice every single day. Every single day. And we have to keep making sure that this struggle and this fight is not just for us, but for the generations that precede us. Because what's the point of any of us actually, being here if we don't make the world better for the generation that follows us? And that's what I'm trying to do. That's the legacy I'm trying to build. I don't have any kids yet, but I want to make sure that the generations that follow me, they won't have to deal with the kind of crap that I'm dealing with, and that other black folks are actually dealing with. And we're trying to make things better for the following generation. That's all we can do. And that ultimately is the spirit of Juneteenth. We have to sacrifice for the black folks that come behind us and make sure that our legacy is one of progression, not regression. So I know I sound like a philosopher right now. I'm just talking. Anyway, I'm going to keep that very brief and very short. I don't like to make these long, drawn out videos. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. But I will say this, that this coming up election, we need to have tangibles if we intend to vote. That's the bottom line. The people that died for us to be where we are today, they did not die for us to vote. They died for us to get freedom. And that means using any kind of measure to your disposal to get your freedom. If voting was effective, I would sit up and say today, go out there and vote. But these people are not providing anything for us that's going to set us free. They're not trying to give us reparations. They're not trying to defund these police departments who are murdering black people. They just, the Supreme Court just recently just put 2 legislations in place for 2 demographics that benefited off the struggles of black people. The immigrant community and the LGBTQ community. No disrespect to those communities. I'm not sitting up and I'm not saying anything disrespectful about it, but it's a fact that their struggles have piggybacked off the struggles of foundational black Americans. So we need to make sure that this country is doing what it needs to do for us. We don't need more symbolism. And if they're not providing tangibles, then they're not going to get our vote. That's the bottom line. That's how we honor our ancestors and make them proud. Not by getting a nationally recognized holiday, even if Juneteenth becomes a national recognized holiday. My question is that how is that benefiting us as a group? How does it? It's more symbolism is what it is. So until we make them provide those things that we need, i.e. tangibles, reparations, then we need to sit out of this political process and make them bend to our will and do our bidding. That's what we need. With that said, get your money right. I would say also keep yourself in shape. Learn how to use a firearm. And start putting in politicians that you can find that will actually put forth a black agenda. That's how we should make our ancestors proud, not by voting for people that we didn't put into office and who have made it very loud and clear they're not going to do the things that we need to have done for ourselves and put an agenda that we want, but an agenda that they feel that we should have. That game is done. It's done. So, anyway, happy Juneteenth, everybody. If you're outside and you got yourself some barbecue, enjoy yourself. You know, no pork, of course. Stay away from the swine. Some beef ribs might not be bad. Some barbecue chicken, even better. Barbecue turkey, very good. I say don't eat. I say stay away from the swine, but I understand some black folks will still do their thing. I don't eat pork. I haven't eaten pork in probably about 20 years. I don't intend on eating any pork anytime soon. You know, it's a filthy animal. Should ban them all. Have rat, have cat, and the rest is dog. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys. I'll see you in the next video, and I'll speak to you soon. This is Rashad from Hero Productions, and keep a lookout for 400 Will Kill You, my feature film. It should be coming out pretty soon. It just got loaded up to Amazon Prime, so they're reviewing it. And hopefully by the end of this month, It will be on Amazon Prime. I'll let you guys know. Put out a big invitation for you to go ahead and watch it. And I'll talk to you soon. Make sure that you like the channel, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Take it easy. Later. Damn it.